Yeah, last time I didn't go live till like 30 minutes in.
Mm.
Slow, time moves fast. In this dance we call the past. Mental health, a fragile thread, but we'll find strength. Let love spread. Life's a climb, just take a step. Rise above, find your breath. In the darkness we will find a shining light to free our mind, to free our mind. Self will bloom like petals bloom, shedding tears will heal the wounds and the chaos. Let's find peace, embrace the pain, let it release.
Relax your mind. It's divine time. Okay. All right. That's weird. My stuff was frozen for a second. I was like, what is happening right now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. All right, cool. Having a slight hiccup for some reason, which is interesting. This is going to be fun. We're already starting off on the good terms.
Yeah. There you go.
Can't hear you.
All right. Ralph, say something.
Blessings upon the people. Yes, it.
It's interesting. 1 second.
We got bad audio.
I have volume coming through, but for some reason it's not hitting on my side right here. Speaker real tech. Testing.
1, 2.
You.
Testing.
1, 2.
Man. 1 second. Got did all this troubleshooting just for it to act up right when we go live. Can you hear me? I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
It's not you, it's me. I think that's what every man usually says. Yeah, as I see Mr. Sigmund over there laughing. All right, this is. Hold on.
Hannah Badman yelled the little box said, Mike is muted.
We tracking. Why? Okay, so why is it not coming through? Oh snap! I might have a lot going on over here. Then you think that's what it could be, Mr. Sigmuno? Think so? Dang. All right. Well, I might have to put my headphones in for this real quick, just so I can hear you. All right. Say something impossible.
Yeah. Blessings to the people.
And I'm still not getting you. What the world? Say something now.
Your mic has been unmuted.
Still nothing. I'm not getting any audio. Okay. What the? Oh man, this is gonna be a good episode if we having this many difficulties at the beginning after we just spent so much time troubleshooting. That's wild.
I want us to talk about love.
Okay, I got you in my headphone. There we go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. I got you.
All right.
Back in the game, baby. Back in the game.
Huh? That's the
All
thing
right.
they want to talk about. Love.
I gotta ask the chat real quick. Chat, can you hear me? Hannah says she still can't hear. Okay. I think I know what I
For all
gotta
intents and purposes, are we able to hear each other right now?
I can hear you. Sigmuno, you can hear? All right. TikTok. Can you hear? All right.
You got to do that. They probably don't hear.
Yeah, I don't think TikTok can't hear.
All right, we gotta push them.
The mute button on the laptop over there. Top left.
He did the old people. He did the one walking out the church. Oh, excuse me.
That's wild. All right, TikTok, is that good?
Yeah. What up, Bubba?
All right, I don't think TikTok can hear.
All right, well, we gotta move on.
Yep, we're gonna move on.
Come back.
Dang, bro. I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that later on then. So with it, today I want to talk about the importance of love. And with that, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna roll straight into a conversation. I'm gonna have the little blocks down at the bottom so that way we know what it is we're gonna be talking about, so we can stay on topic. I'm just gonna roll straight into it. For me, one of the biggest things that comes down to this topic is first to understand what love is. And I feel like there's a lot of individuals who really don't even know what love is. They don't have an idea of what the differences of love. Because when you hear love, in this day and age, a lot of people just think of something more on the physical side, which usually it deals with coitus. They're not aware of the self-love. They're not aware of the romantic love. They're not aware of the platonic love. They're not aware of the universal love as well, which honestly, universal love is something I had to really look into. And I was like, okay, cool. I knew what that was, but I just didn't know that there was actual term for it. Does that make sense? You know how like sometimes you know things, but you didn't know there was actually a word for it. There was an actual term for it. That's when I looked up universal love. I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of like that's how I felt in general. But I didn't associate it with the universe. Because when I said like I love all things, I never thought of it as a universal type of thing. Now, granted, for anybody who's in here, I am not a spiritual master or anything like that. I am constantly learning day to day. And with that, that's one of the reasons why I created this podcast, because we can learn together through the many different people who are on different levels in this journey. We have something we can learn from everybody. Okay? Impossible. Do you hear an echo?
No.
All right. Bet. Let's go straight into it. So with it, I'm just gonna ask, what does love mean to you? I'm gonna have Mrs. Sigmuno start off.
No sign. No sign. No sign. No sound.
How about now?
Okay, now we got some sound.
Okay. So where love is a
Echo. Ira, mute.
Can you hear me
Go
now?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So love for me is a strong affection for, a desire for, a it's almost a need for you that's not a need for somebody else. Um, it can be for a person, it can be for a thing, it can be for whether living in animals. Some people love pickles. I'm not one of those people. Um, some people love inanimate more than they love human. Some people do not have a love for life as a whole. They have a love for individuals. And for all this, if you know that's you, if you know that's you and you're not trying to lead somebody else down path, that may or may not work for you. But it's not going to work for the people who need you if, in fact, they are that person who has a need for an affection from an actual human being. Love is a nurture. Love also is a protector. Love is a negotiator. Love makes concessions. Love has all, is all, if you allow it to. That doesn't even touch the question. That's what love is.
Impossible.
Well, I mean, we first got to start with the conception of love before we start to talk about what it is. Like, how do you conceive love? Not what do you think about it, not what you want from it. Like, how is the model of love created in your own mind? Then you begin to experience what it is that you perceive love to be based upon your experiences in life. So a lot of time we dealing with what love is. We got to get back to the very origin of how do we define love from our own perspective, from our mental, emotional, and psychological and spiritual state. How we define love is what we're going to say about it. Say it again.
Nothing. TikTok is going off. Continue.
So it just really how we define love. That like the concept of love going to give you the model of love. The model of love going to give you the actions of love. So based upon how you quote unquote conceive love, you're going to have different experiences that model the conception that you have that you're going to define as reality. You're not going to be able to lie about that. You're not going to be able to say, well, this is how I understand love. No, your relationship with love going to show. What does love mean? Love means in essence, it is that, as Miss Sigma O said. It is everything. It is everything you can ever dream of. It's the thing that gives when you're wanting or needing the most. It's the thing you rely on when you're down in your dirt. It's when you confused and you don't know which way to go. That's what love does. Love gives, it guides, it honors, it protects, it strengthens, it gives you more faith. Love, it's difficult to say what love means to me based upon the idea of relationship because most of the ideas of relationship is so dysfunctional. So when you're defining love from the parameters of dysfunction, you're only talking about a different form of dysfunction. When you speak about love from a higher understanding of essence, they look at you crazy because you're not boxed into the idea of sensation only. Yes, there are intimacies of love, yet there's a greater mental intimacy of love that can liberate you in ways that you can never fathom. Yet it's going to be your definition. Say it again.
I was just gonna ask. I was like, so when it comes down to love in our lives, do you feel that each one of these topics of love is necessary?
It's already a fundamental part of you. We have a archetypical psychological image of all mental records and all of mankind. So all of these things are included in love. We are quick to separate and define love in a separate entity versus looking at love as a whole and seeing love as an extension of these other entities that may have been distorted or manipulated or confused.
All right. Testing something. Hold on.
Go ahead, take your time, brother.
All right. You hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Is there an echo?
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Sigma Uno, can you hear me? Say something, Mrs. Sigma Uno.
It's a beautiful disaster.
All right, sweet.
She said a beautiful.
Lovely.
Oh my God.
I know, right? A beautiful disaster.
I love it.
All right, bet. Now I can hear you. You can hear me. We have everything should be flowing a little bit smoother. Let's go into this conversation. Sorry for the hiccup. I'm still trying to understand about some new gadgets. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to work them in a closed facility. All right. What is, I'm not even going to do questions. Romantic love. Do you feel that there's a lot of individuals these days who are putting so much energy into a romantic relationship, platonic relationship, while neglecting themselves on a physical level when it comes down to love? Now, the reason I asked that, and I did not bring universal love into that, because in my mind, universal love is the love of everything around us. That is love towards the planet, everything that is on the planet. So therefore, when it comes down to the romantic love, the platonic love, that still falls under that realm, under that umbrella, because those are things that are part of this planet, part of this universe.
So the problem with love, the way people are experiencing their current relationships, is that they're not looking. It's not love. Or instinct. There's something attached to it. It's not. Their love is a tip to the cat. It's about what I can do for you, and you can do for me, and not an actual free flowing love. So to see what love is in relationships, where society is right now, there are very few actual loving relationships that are examples for people to know that that's what love is. For the longest, everybody wanted to be the Smiths. Will and Jada was like the perfect relationship. We see how that panned out. So what is happening is there's no longer actual examples of what loving relationships actually are. So now when somebody that's in their 20s is talking about they're in love with somebody, what are they talking about? What they saw. They, like Impossible said, they solved dysfunction. So that's what love is in a relationship with this person, and we're in turmoil all the time. So I guess we're in love. And that's something that I grew up in a completely totally different environment where my great grandparents and my grandparents may have not started off as, head over heels of love. It's us against the world type of relationship. As they grew after 10 years of marriage, 20 years of marriage, 30 years of marriage, 40 years of marriage, there's nothing, even if it is you and me against the world, after 40 years, there's nothing left but love because the world has already been defeated. So we done already defeated the world. I'm with you because I'm with you. I'm with you because there's something about our connection that cannot be fulfilled anyplace else. If I leave you, there's something in my life that is now missing. Whereas before, you're in these dysfunctional relationships, you're replaceable. I can get a new one of you next week. I can get a new one of you tomorrow. There's folks lined up at the door. Those are arguments that people that are quote unquote are in love are having now, which again, they say it is, but everybody has their own definition. That is not Webster's definition of what love produces. So that goes through the platonic and the universal. Self-love, or the lack thereof, is being in these relationships, and it is dysfunctional. It is toxic. That is the lack of self-love. The self-love is being by yourself in order to have peace, to be happy with yourself. It's better to be happy with yourself than it is to be miserable attached to somebody else. But again, people aren't in love with themselves and they're not taking care of themselves unless they're attached with another individual, whether it's functional or dysfunctional. So at some point, it's got to be, we are the world. We are the children. We got to make it a better place. We got to show something. Something. Because, boy, watching these folks now, it's just painful.
For sure.
That is so true. And I mean, one of the things that I wanted to hit on is the difference between love is an emotion and love is an action. There's a lot of individuals who we're living a very lustful time at the moment, where a lot of things is more about what can you do for me rather than what can we do together, or what can I do for myself. A lot of people are basing love off of, I'm gonna be straight up with it, how the sex feels. A lot of people rather test, they want to test drive the person to figure out, like, okay, well, if that was good, then I'll stick around with it. What is that? How you used to be? Impossible? I saw you tip your glasses.
I thought I saw something. I had to take it down.
You probably did.
That's why I said, don't worry about it. Continue. Don't pay me no mind.
All right. Anywho, so I want to understand why we have a whole lot of individuals, and I really wish that the TikTok could hear us right now, because then those people could be able to chime in. When it comes down to love as an action and love as an emotion, with me, I feel love is an emotion, which is more of along the lines of a feeling rather than what a person can do for me. There's a lot of people who base love off of what a person can do for them, but more as a material type deal. What are your thoughts on that?
Miss Sigma Uno?
I just said that. That's basically what it is. Is it should be that way? It should be, Lord. No, it should not be that way. That is not love. Love is not also. It's not always a euphoric feeling. It's not a euphoric sensation. You have to take it back to the 16th, 17th century where folks were married off to each other that met that day. And they stayed married for 40, 50 years because that's what they did. Did they still have sex and procreate? Yeah, they still had sex and procreated. But was it love? I didn't even know you from Adam. And all of a sudden, your ring is on my finger and we're making kids. And I still don't know you. I mean, but those are the crazy as this is fixing to sound. Those are the marriages that lasted forever, all the way up until the early 1900s. Divorce didn't get prominent until I can trade you in for a new model. I mean, I can't even tell you when that became popular. It should have never been popular because now you got old and busted trying to get new hotness, and you old and busted. What makes you think new hotness is gonna hook up with you and you old and busted and you just left old and busted? Y'all got old and busted together. Now all of a sudden you got to have new hotness. what is that? So that's basically what it's turned into. I mean, every woman is trying to be a cougar and every guy trying to be Hugh Hefner and have all the bunnies, and that's cool if that's what you into. But there's no substance to that. So it boils down to a person. If you want a relationship of substance, you want something that's going to carry you over when you're old and all your teeth have fallen out, and you want somebody to push your wheelchair down the ramp, up the ramp, somebody to feed you your mashed potatoes, whatever that looks like, you're not going to get that out of lust. That's not going to happen. So ultimately, what do you want? You want that instantaneous microwave feeling? Or do you want your age? Do you want your partner? I mean, you got to boil it down to business. Do you just want to be some conglomeration that pumps out mystery meat burgers? Or do you want, a real life partner? Because you can pump out mystery meat. That's probably what's wrong with some kids now. Is folks just together for the lust and ended up procreating. Didn't invest into the child, didn't make plans for the child, didn't that's what we created. That's what's out here now. So you want to go back to the mystery of it. That's what's missing at this point. Back then there was mystery. You didn't know what was in that skirt. That skirt was so long, she should have been tripping over it. Now you can tell her how many freckles she got on her butt cheek. And that's with clothes on. How crazy is that? So I'm hot mess. That's all I can say about the current situation with regards to love, because nobody knows what that definition is. They're always based on what they see. Nobody's going to look for it for themselves. And even if they wanted to base it off what they see, at this point, what examples do they have?
I feel like they don't really have any examples of what love is anymore, because now, like looking back in the day, the way that prostitutes and things used to dress is how our day-to-day people, our day-to-day women are dressing. Then with it at the same time, you have a lot of men who are, they play these mind games. No disrespect to anybody who has like a pimping culture or whatever, which still is mind games. But with all due respect, fuck you. It is you talk sweet to them to make them feel as if they're loved, or either you're going to love bomb to have them thinking that they are loved while treating them horribly. In this day and age, we are living in a toxic love era where so many people think that this idea of love and hip hop and Black Ink Crew and the constant abuse, verbal and physical abuse, is a way of showing that someone loves you. That's trauma bonding. So there's very few real role models to show what love is. Back in the day, we had TV shows that showed what love was. Yes, now everything is real world, supposedly. Which, I mean, in this day and age, like when it first came out, the real world stuff was not real world. Now it really is real world, because that's what the world has turned into. So there's not a lot of good examples of what love is, because now in the music and the entertainment industry, everything is about sex.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Because turn off the light and light a candle. You're gonna take a shower. You can scrub your back, and I'll scrub yours. That's Teddy Pendergrass. That's
Right.
your mama era. You know what I'm saying? The thing is he wasn't putting it all out there. It was there was some mystery. Again, there was some mystery to it. There was mystery to it. They weren't talking about they neck, they back, and they crack. That's there's no more mystery to that. We already know where you're going from head to toe, from the rooter to the tutor. It's you just put it all out there versus telling a story, make it a parable. I- If we can get more storytellers out here that put some mystery to it, just put some mystery to it. Finding a partner, for all intents and purposes, used to be a game that was played. And there was mystery. Hey, it was like Clue. It was like Clue. Is my partner, in the study with a knife or with the candlestick I mean, at this point, there's no way. There's no way. It's not even luck of the draw. So they've society has made it to the point where finding love, real, true, actual love and companionship is no longer the goal. We're looking for instant gratification. Everything is microwave. Everything is now. Folks know whether or not you the one for them physically before you even get married. These folks ain't seen each other never before in life, let alone knowing whether or not the D is good or not. Nobody that was never options. Those weren't options.
Yeah.
But now we got to test ride it like it's a car. It's got to come in red. Hey, sure, get you a red bone if you want to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's meant for you. Folks chasing after stuff that's trending. Like there was, oh my God, I remember growing up when they were talking about light skin will make a comeback because it was the Chocolate Brothers during my era, right? So the light skinned brother was just trying to make a comeback. Look, your outside appearance does not reflect who you are as a person. So if you studying and fix on what tangible you're looking at, you're gonna look yourself into a hole. You're gonna walk yourself into a well because you're not looking at anything that's important. You're not looking at the ground that's in front of you, about to walk yourself into a hole. All because what is light skinned with a big booty? Not gonna be helpful. And then prance and twitch in front of you and whatnot. Got that little flick to their wrist. Fling their little hair. At this point, you don't even know if the hair is hers. And the reality of it is she paid for it, so I guess it is hers no matter what. She got the receipt, right? See? I can't. I can't. I can't. I cannot. I cannot be a young person in this society with all that is out here because the reality of it is, even when it comes to y'all, she could have been he or he could have been she, and I had all kinds of stuff done.
I wanna request one thing real quick. All right. So with it, I'm gonna do this real quick, like Clubhouse. So when you are ready to speak, unmute your mic. All right. Got that possible?
I can't hear you.
I'm going to do this like Clubhouse. When you're ready to speak, just unmute your mic. Okay.
Oh, it's fine.
All right. So you have control of your mic, boss.
I mean, as I stated before, we have these mental models of love that are dysfunctional, and then we are describing romantic. We have these dysfunctional models of love, and then we're saying self-love when we hate ourselves. The very way that we're describing love itself is causing us the pain, but we're not knowing we're causing the pain because that's the reality. So without us going back to the very, again, the essence of love. I said it many times. When you understand the essence of love, it's difficult for you to think on a low level. It's just difficult. When it's that easy, which means that you don't have a definition from love from an inner perspective, you have a program, you have a repetition of an idea of what you desire. That's not love. That's why it's easy to get into sexual relationships right now because they're not looking for love. They're looking for the sensation because nobody know what love is. And then the people say they know what love is. When you actually listen to what they say they want, that doesn't describe love. So now we have to go back to the very basic and the foundation of what love really is. It's where you honestly love and honor yourself about your decisions that you make. And again, the role of love in personal development, personal growth. Well, I go for this. If you don't have any type of love for your personal growth or your personal development, you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow emotionally. You're not going to be able to heal. It's difficult to heal when forgiveness is something that you don't want to do. When you're always angry about the thing that once happened. Well, I thought you said you was going through a healing process. I thought you said you was God. I thought you said you knew God. What happened to all these things you said you know? So we doing too much with this thing called love because it's not have been set in principle. So a lot of people are talking about love from a personal growth. But what happened when your growth is dysfunctional from when you were a child and you saw love dysfunction from a child? What's your personal growth like? I had to learn how to be in relationships because my idea of relationships and my function of relationships were dysfunctional. But where did I see them? All around me. It was normal for a man to have more than one woman. That's what I came from. I had to grow out of. So now, at one time, it was the man want to have more than one woman. Now, the women want to have just as much as the men. There's no personal growth in that. That's just sexual sensation. So the growth in love is first coming back to understand the essence of love from a true spiritual state. What gives you a center about what it is and where you are. It gives you a new conception about love so that you may make better decisions and you're not just confronted with all these different choices. And that's one thing I say, that love got too many damn choices. You got so many goddamn choices, love. You don't know what the fuck to do when it comes to love. There's so many choices. You can be and do anything in the name of love. Now, come on, man. Where the structure for love at?
I personally feel like there isn't any instructions for love. It's kind of like parenting. It's something that you feel, but at the same time, there's always room for growth. Because with it, you think about it, whoever you are loving, whether it is yourself or somebody else, even when it comes to animals, they're constantly evolving, which means that the things that they may have enjoyed once before, they may not enjoy anymore. You're going to adopt. You're going to what's the word I'm looking for? Not evolve, but you're going to change as they're changing. Does that make sense? All right, let me go a little further into it.
Yeah.
With me and my partner, when we first met, there's things that we would not do now that we used to do back then because we have grown past those times in our lives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with that, for me to still be in love with those types of things that was in our past as we were children, that would be kind of Yeah, that'd be counterproductive of me and then for me to get mad with her because, oh, well, you used to love these things. How can you love it anymore? If I'm going to love you, even if I'm going to speak on about self-love, if I'm going to love myself, I have to love the things that are now the flaws that I have grown into as well. So I mean, with it, if I'm going to truly love myself, I can't get mad at myself because, oh, I have a mole now here and I think I'm ugly. No, with it, embrace that. I mean, just like how you said impossible. Like if you're going to sit there and say that you are God or you know these things, it's like you need to govern yourself accordingly. And I mean, I love the fact that you said that because I felt like you were speaking to me, and I was like, you know what? I've been going through shit, but you right, motherfucker. You right. I need to get my shit right. Don't ever forget. Don't neglect what you know, where you come from, and the path that you are trying to go. Now, correction, Swerve. I felt your glance through the glasses. Don't neglect where you are going. Um, so with that, if you're going for that personal growth, you need to be doing it for you, not for anybody else. So you cannot sit there and it's funny because like when I was in AA classes back in the day, they used to say like, all right, if you're going to do this, you need to do it for yourself, because if you're trying to do it for somebody else, if something happens, you're going to use that as a reason to relapse. And I always used to look and be like, well, I can stop drinking when I want to. I just drink because it's nice to have a beer or something at the time, or either like I might have some people over at the house and I'm like, you know what, I want to drink. But with it, there are people who actually have problems, have issues. Now with that, it's harder for them. And if they're doing it for somebody else, and let's say that person they're doing it for passes away or ends up going through a hard time and it causes them to stress out as well, now they feel like they have a reason to drink. So if you're not doing it for yourself, you're going to find any reason to go back to what you were doing before, because it's not for you, it's for others. So for that personal growth, or even when it comes down to loving other individuals, it all comes back down to, first, I guess you can say, being selfish. And when I say selfish, it's thinking of yourself first, because that saying, how can you truly love somebody or something if you don't love yourself? How do you understand what love is? How do you understand how to love anybody else if you don't even know how you like to receive love? So you cannot expect someone to love you properly if you don't know how to love yourself. You cannot expect to love somebody else properly if they don't know how to love themselves. So when it comes down to, oh gosh, I feel it. When it comes down to love, speaking of love in general, it's really a understanding of yourself. Because if we all are sitting here as one, if we all are sitting here as one, but in different bodies, living different realities, as a collective, how are you going to sit here and say, I hate you, when you know that anything that you do to this person is going to reflect back on you? It's going to have repercussions on you and impact you in your life as well. So to actually sit here and say, I hate you, you're hating yourself. That right there is a self-projection.
That's what it is right there. It's not them that you hate. It's that you see of yourself being reflected in that person that you hate. It's not the person. Now, even if you go back to the beginning of me and Mr. So me and Mr. were aces all the way back in high school, right? And this is gonna sound petty. It's gonna sound real petty. But what was one of the main reasons why we broke up? What did I used to tell you? Do you remember? We had this discussion earlier. You're muted. He couldn't, his nails. Wonderful guy from the very beginning.
That's crazy.
Selfless.
How is it possible? No, he was playing with his friend.
Selfless man. You know what I'm saying? A perfect individual, but would not take care of himself. He wouldn't. He would take care of the whole world and not take care of himself. Is why we originally parted ways. Because if I'm choosing to be with a person that is selfless in the manner that he was, I would be pouring all of me into him to replenish him, and nobody would be there to replenish me because he's replenishing the world. So until he got a grip and he was like, I am, not to say that I am more important than everybody else, but in order for me to be, for the longevity of myself,
I need to take care of myself. Self-love. I have to have self-love. I can pour out all the love I want to pour. I can grow plants. I can have the greenest thumb, and everything can live and thrive around me. And I look like a ragamuffin. That should not be the case. I mean, you ain't got to dress for anybody. You don't have to do anything for anybody. You really don't. You should want to be clean for yourself. You should not have last week's motor oil under your nails while eating chicken nuggets. It just it, it just shouldn't be. But yeah, I mean, until you can love yourself, until you actually have love for yourself, there is no way possible that you can say that you have love for anybody else. You can't. So can somebody love you more than you love yourself? Yes. Yes, they can. Should they love you more than they love themselves? No. And then when it comes to parenting, bless your heart. When you become a parent, in your mind, there are all the things that your parent or whoever raised you did that you know that you want to do different. Good, bad, or indifferent. You know that I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because my parents did these things and I'm not going to be my parent. That's how it starts. All the way at the beginning. That's how it starts. What happens is you realize somewhere down the line that something clicks and there's something that your parent used to do that you swore that you would never do, or something that you would never say that comes flying out your mouth before you can catch it. And you see your parent as it's coming out your mouth. You can't stop it, but you can see their face. You can see their hands. You can see yourself. It looks like it's like you're talking to yourself. And you can't pull it back. You can't. But in that moment, you realize, you know what? My parents really didn't hate me growing up. I really was a handful. And I may have deserved some of the things that I had got, growing up as far as punishments per se. Did you feel that way when it was that time? No, not at all. But without that tough love there, could you imagine what you would have gotten into if there wasn't that repercussion or that love from your and guidance and direction from your parent? That's what's missing when it's coming to love and relationships and all this stuff in today's society. There's no there are no repercussions for foul living, foul anything. Yeah, in fact, foul has become acceptable. Should it have? No. But everybody wants it. I don't want that for myself because that's how my parents were. Guess what? Now everybody wants the love that their great grandparents had, or the marriage that their great grandparents had that got married because their dads had made whatever kind of agreement, and somebody got a pig and the other one got a cow, and now you guys are married. Everybody wants those relationships, but nobody knows how to get them. Nobody knows how to accept themselves and love themselves as an individual enough to make a sacrifice like that. Make the sacrifice and love themselves enough to have what they really want, what they really deserve. They're, yeah, I could have a home cooked meal, you know, pan seared, roasted, whatever, right there in my kitchen. But I'm gonna go get Marie Callender's and throw her in the microwave because she's quick and easy. It's still turkey and dressing, but it's not my turkey and dressing. But if Marie is good for you, by all means, hang out with Marie. Microwave if you want to.
Impossible. Did you have something to say?
I was going to address and piggyback on what she was saying about love as as an empower. You know what I'm saying? Like something that empowers you. It gives you something great. Love was my personal growth. When I met love, love was everything to me. When I didn't know love or didn't understand love, was afraid of love, like love was my greatest fear. My personal growth in love changed everything in my life. So when people talk about what would love do, love is not a feeling, love is an action. Love makes your ass move. It makes you do some shit. If you in enough pain and you understand love, love will take you out of that shit. If you in a bad relationship, you in a bad job, you in a bad situation. If you understand love, it will guide you out. You may have to do some learning. That adjustment may be uncomfortable. That metamorphosis that you go through, you may have to leave some people behind. That thing that you might not even deal with the same family members you used to deal with. All of those things may happen in your growth in love. What you don't do is diminish or disregard your growth in love. A lot of time people stay the same because they feel more comfortable staying in a state of love that actually causes them the pain that they complain about. Y'all seen people complain about their situation and tell you about the same thing 5 different times. And you say, yeah, you already told me that already. They still complain about the same shit. That means that they don't understand love. They're comfortable in a state of dysfunction. And their normal state of dysfunction that's what love is to them. So love will empower you. It will be a role model for you. It will be a guide for you. It will be a strength for you. It will be an advisor for you. Love will be all of those things that you desire from your heart. Even in the Bible, they tell you a new heart, new mind. That's real. You get a new heart, you'll get a new mind. You get a new mind, you will get a new heart. And that's what love would do. And that's all I wanted to piggyback on that love and that role, the role of love. Like that shit. People be playing with love too much. They sensitize love too much. It's all in the videos, it's all in the TV. Well, love is just a sensation. So that's all I want to talk about. That aspect of love when it comes to playing this role and giving back that power that most people are looking for. It's right. It's in you. Ain't going nowhere. It's in you. Big Sigma Uno, what's up, brother? What happened? What happened to our host?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure. You want me to feel in love as a motivator? Love as a motivator. Love has
Should
been
have
my
brought
greatest
you home
motivator.
last night.
Yeah, what? Tell me one more time. Love is my greatest motivator. Love is the thing that wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I ain't got no alarm clock set to get up and do the things that I normally do.
Yep.
Love is the thing that I'll go to sleep at night around about 10 o'clock and love wake me up at 3:30 in the morning and say, hey, we got some work we got to do. Love has been the thing that has changed my life in dynamics and in ways that people won't ever even fathom. Even when they see certain aspects of my life change, they'll never understand why I'm so motivated. They'll never understand why there's such a zest for life and why it's so important to get up and do that shit. That's what love is. It is. I don't need nobody to tell me, well, you feel like doing this today? Well, I don't know if you want to do today. What the fuck am I going to do today? This is what I'm going to do today. And you got a plan for love because love already motivated you. You know what you're doing for the day because of love.
See, I love the fact that you said that due to the fact that I talk to people constantly every day. You know the just over broke that we work at. And with that, there's a lot of individuals who come in and they unload onto us. And with it, I have heard things where you have individuals going through divorces or people in those toxic love relationships. And how you just mentioned when we're talking about love as a motivator, if you are truly loving yourself and you know how you want to be treated, my question is, why is it so difficult for individuals to remove themselves out of situations where they feel and know that there is no longer love?
Because they don't know love.
Because it wasn't love that they had to begin with.
Yeah. They don't know love. They know dysfunction. They're comfortable in dysfunction, not love. Love is not a dysfunction. Love will bring you out of anything. Yeah. Love is not love is not confusion. Love is not a dysfunction. Love will give you balance and understanding. Love will give you tranquility and peace. Love will motivate you to make sure that you are doing things to enhance not only your life, but those around you. That's the motivation of love. anyone that stays in a quote unquote to new age toxic relationship, if you want to stay in relationships that are not conducive for you, that is your motivation for love. So as I stated earlier, a lot of times we are in situations because we don't have the correct definition of love. We don't have the correct image of love. And so with the model that we have of love, when the model is dysfunctional, distorted, and built in ignorance, what did that system of look like when you pass it down from generation to generation?
Well, like I said, when people are parenting their kids, they decide that they don't want to do certain things because that's what their parent did and they didn't like it. Like, I can say now what I had. If somebody would have married me off with a cow and 6 ducks to a man that I don't know, would I be happy about it? I probably would be happy about it. That'd be something that I'd want to change, right? So as a society, we have made that change. Is it a good change? Some people say it's a good change. Some people don't agree with that. Some people still do the arrangement, and that works for them. And their societies don't have a lot of these toxic traits that we have here. So we have traded off some of the things we don't like and ended up with things that we definitely don't like. So you got that parent that decides they're not going to discipline their child at all because discipline stunts growth in their opinion, because there was a lot of things that they wanted to do growing up and everything they wanted to do they got disciplined for. Still nothing, right? So now we've got this generation of children that's out here running amok and don't know their head from their rear end and believe that everything is gravy because everything is acceptable. And it's not. It's not. And to their detriment because there's no place for them. They have to become more ingenuitive to make a way for themselves. And then when you have these people that have no guidance, who partners with the person that has no guidance and direction? So now you've got a bunch of people out here with no guidance and direction trying to hook up with each other and make something productive. With what? They have no boundaries isn't a good word. They have there's no path. There's nothing there for them to build on. Everything there, their whole foundation is sand. You can't build anything strong on sand. You can't do it because let a wave come in. It's going to pull that sound right from underneath whatever it is that you built. So we got rid of some things that were foundational pieces that we felt were not important or were irrelevant because we didn't like them. Guess what? It's not about what you like. I mean, eat your green beans, eat your spinach, whatever it is on your plate that you don't like. Guess what? There's something in that that's good for you, whether you like it or not, whether you like the way it tastes or how it's prepared, doesn't matter. Eat the spinach. You don't eat the spinach, guess what? Now you're anemic. You don't have the vitamins necessary for you to get the things that you need to get out of the rest of your food. Everything on your plate helps you absorb something else on your plate. So just that little bit of discipline that you didn't like. Now you've got ruleless, reckless individuals that are going to produce what? We have examples of that now. So then what do? You can't you can't necessarily go backwards as a society, but you can implement things that make things make sense. Because if it don't make sense, it's definitely not going to make no dollars. So how is that going to be productive?
Impossible. You got anything to add to that, Mr. Sigma Uno? Were you able to fix your mic?
Nah, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, she explained it very well. I already gave my point on love as a motivator. I don't have anything else to add
Mm-hmm.
to that.
Sigma Uno? Still can't hear anything you're saying.
Come on, mister.
I might have to get you a new phone, bro. Over there fucking with Apple. Yeah, still can't hear you. We see your mouth moving, but we can't hear nothing. But for love as a motivator, this is the reason why I do a podcast for just me, where I just speak, because I'm like, y'all cover everything that I may want to say. So for me to even speak, like I gotta be by myself, because y'all say things that I haven't thought of, or the things that I wanted to say. So it's like, dang, I kind of just guide the conversation at this point. I think Impossible will enjoy this one. Spiritual perspectives on love. See that smile? Yes. So for the spiritual perspectives on love, I'm like, yo, that one right there. I want to talk a little bit into the concept of unconditional love and how it falls into spiritual significance. So I mean, I know if we could hear Sigmuno, he'd probably bring up agape. But once he can troubleshoots that, we'll let him go on that. So Impossible, go ahead. You got the floor, my guy.
Spiritual perspective on love. That's one of the problems that we're having right now, because we're not have placed love in a spiritual conception. We don't see love from the conception of it being something spiritual, something divine. When you understand love from a divine place, from its divinity, you're able to have a whole different type of conception to love. When you only see love as a thing of feelings and emotions, and it's only that, not saying that spiritually you don't have those things. The perspective and the conception of love spiritually is totally different. Case in point, you go out in the day, you have a flat tire, and then you had to wait and change the tire. The place where you were going at ended up to be a full car accident. Is that luck, or is that spiritual love? That's just the God loving you, saying, hey, in order to protect you, in order you going the way you need to go, I need to keep you from going that way at that particular time, because there's going to be a bad accident you're about to be a part of. We don't understand spiritual love, because spirituality has not been placed in the principle in our everyday life. It's not something that is taught in families as a principle of living, because most families, you know, as bad as it is, are already broken. So you're teaching love in a broken family? Yeah, good luck. Good luck. You'll have an aspect of love for sure. You'll never unify love separated. I'm gonna say it again. You'll never unify love separated. Love is only united. It brings a unification. It is the unification. So the spiritual perspective on love is really simple. Get back to the principle and essence of what spirit is, and you will then find a love within it that will propel you to the heights that you have never dreamed of. The fact that people don't take spirituality and love as one, and a perspective or a conception that's very is the essence, that's the separation. The only separation of love is your idea. The only separation of love is your idea. So spiritually, the very love that you perceive, quote unquote, is again, I'm going back to this model, because my model been all week was mental models. So your spiritual perspective is the conception of your model. However you perceive love, that's your conception. That's your model. Your spirit, it goes beyond that. Your spirit doesn't have a box to go in. Even if you even if you have a perspective of love and spirit, that's still only a limitation of your perspective. You still explain it in the limitation. Because in love fulfillment, in its full essence, your mind probably can't even compute what love really is and what it really does, the real essence of love. So once we get back to the spiritual conception, the spiritual principle of love, yeah, we can implement it to our families and teach it to our children on a daily basis, because that's what I teach my grandkids. I didn't know this to teach my daughters. I was living a different life. I was in the streets. I was doing different things. I didn't understand spirituality as a principle of love. When I did learn it, I taught it. But when you don't know, you don't know. So that's why ignorance is the biggest part of spiritual perspective on love, because a lot of people are ignorant to love. They're not ignorant, but they're ignorant to love's power.
There he go again. There he go again. There he go again. Oh boy. Oh boy. See, I knew that you was gonna get on that one. I didn't. In all honesty, I was going to ask you for that one because the spiritual perspectives on love. You know my background. I told you a little bit about me growing up. Things that I went through kind of got pushed off. So I mean, spirituality and the things that I know now, I feel like I could have been so much further on it if I had talked to my grandma a lot more. So on the spiritual side, there's a lot that I am missing that I'm constantly trying to understand. And I mean, when you speak, I listen. So thank you for that, Impossible. For Mrs. Sigma Uno, I just need to be able to have conversations with her. She's so secretive and she picks and chooses who she wants to talk to. So everybody who listens to the podcast, y'all are lucky that she's even willing to speak.
Facts.
So, I mean, if y'all are listening to the podcast and Mrs. Sigma Uno was on, y'all better get a notepad and paper and listen. Because, I mean, this woman has a wealth of knowledge and she's very, very choosy on even of speaking to masses and speaking to individuals. So, I mean, I thank you, Mrs. Sigma Uno, for even coming on here and talking because I'm always trying to pick your mind. And I swear to God, like sometimes I feel like you be stiff arming this crap out of me, like we playing football. Like you be doing a Heisman on me, and I'm just like, I just want to know more. And you're just like, I'm busy. Like that's like the vibe I get from you. And it's just like, you busy trying to go to sleep. Like sleeping is more important. I'm like, then again, I think your daughter, yeah, understandable. But y'all have so much knowledge, and I just wish that I knew y'all growing up because I feel like I could be so much further than I am currently. No disrespect to my family. But
you where you wouldn't be, brother. You where you need to be, brother.
I'm where I may be where I need to be, but I feel like I know that I can go so much further. I know that I can go so much further. And if I had got these tools sooner, I could be further than where I am, you know? And with that, it also it also would have allowed me not to make some of the mistakes that I had made. Well, then again, I most likely needed to make those mistakes in order to grow. So I can't get upset about that. So I thank all my enemies. I thank all those individuals who have put me through trying times, because it taught me a lot. I mean, it as much as I hated it at the moment, I'm grateful for what it has taught me and where it's put me now. So with that, I could say I love the lesson. I hated the time. I can say that. I love the lesson that I learned. I hated going through it. It was kind of like boot camp. I hated going through boot camp, but I'm so grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for everything that is done to make me who I am today. With it, I have one more topic that we're going to roll straight into. Love is a legacy. And the reason why I just said all of that was to go ahead and tie it into this. So with love is a legacy, I kind of want to hit biggest on like how love contributes to fulfilling a meaningful life. Yeah, you see how I did that? Ooh.
Miss
Look
Sigma
at
Uno,
love.
the floor is yours.
As a divinity. Love is divine. It is not that little fat kid with the wings and the arrow that comes out every year in February. He love. He's not that little cherub. Okay, love is a divinity. It is something that is omnipresent. It is everywhere. It where you are in good times is there when you are in bad times. It is how you receive it. It's love is something that literally can be picked up via osmosis. Okay, if you are in tune enough, again, self love, that when you hit a spot and you do what works for you, go for a walk, even if it's just going through Costco. If it's people watching, going to the park and sitting on the bench and looking at the squirrels getting the nuts out the little hole in the tree. You find that place of release. That is that love massaging your soul. It literally is. Because it's if you know love for yourself and you know what works for you as far as bringing you back centered, you will find love everywhere. Again, walking down the street, sitting on the park bench, walking through Costco, it doesn't matter where it is. And that skill alone is something that is teachable. When the kids are melting down to high heaven and they can't pull it together, again, they know what their center is. They know what they need to focus on to pull themselves in. It's something that it's love is teachable. Love is not necessarily passive. Love is very aggressive. Love is not going to just let anything go. Love has got plans for you. Now you can either be in love and reach your goal, or you can fight it tooth and nail. It's all about where you want to end up. Now, if you go with it, and you in love, and you bring in love, and first flourishing in love, and spewing love, and teaching love, then what comes out of that is love. You are a reflection thereof. You are that love for somebody else. You are that person that somebody else is looking at a park bench as you're walking through the park trying to pull yourself together. That other person on the park bench that had their own meltdown, but they're watching you walk through the park in peace, seemingly in peace, pulling it together for the next one. Love is contagious. Love, you can be susceptible to love. You can be susceptible to a lot of things, but love is very contagious. Love is more contagious than hatred. You have to teach hate. Love just happens. When children come out, that they've never seen mom before. They know that voice. They know that heartbeat. They know that they have that connection there. That's love for them. That is their first love. Without sight. Outside. It's not something tangible. But it can be carried over from now to eternity. The love of your great grandparents are you being manifest. Because without them, your parents and grandparents would have never been. So where would you have come from? You are love manifest for somebody who no longer exists. So what are you going to leave? What is your signature of love that you're going to leave that somebody else is going to run into 40 years down the road, 50 years down the road, 60 years down the road when you're gone? That is your love legacy. Are you raising children in love, in self-respect, in self-love, so they're not turning into somebody else's nightmare? You can raise a loving child. You can raise somebody's first, last, and only love. You can raise somebody's wife. You can raise somebody's husband. You can raise somebody's companion. You can also raise somebody's demon. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Those things don't need to flourish. They don't need to exist. Those things happen due to toxic environments that exist. Don't be that toxic environment because it's going to exist. Toxicity exists without you. Acidity exists without you. Don't be the acid that eats through something. Be the lemon that enhances the flavor if you're going to be anything. Again, Be the light. Love will shine through all darkness. Love is that light at the end of the tunnel. Somebody wrote a song. Love lift us up where we belong. Literally, where the eagles fly on the mountain high. That's your first. What? Well, I'm not going to say that because some people need herbs. But let's be realistic. Love can be your first high. That first crush you had on that girl when she walked down the hallway, when she accidentally glanced at you, when your heart fluttered, that was your first high. That was your cue to pursue that. That was love for you at that moment. Again, love has flashes of things and glimpses of things throughout your life that, again, they always produce feelings that you're always trying to reproduce, that you're trying to find, that you're trying to grasp. It's a high that cannot be replicated. It can't be, but it will take you higher and higher every time. Every time. Ooh, and no side effects. You don't get it.
Well, I want to say, and from my perspective, I use love as like a fighting style. For my legacy, love will be the art of understanding and having a function, and whatever your fulfillment is. So a lot of people just think about all the different styles in martial arts. And I'm going old school. I had to go to 36 chambers. So when you had the mantis style and the frog style and the snake style, what it was when the master that knew them all. That's the legacy of love that I'm passing down. To be able to understand the style of love. That and in each situation there's a fighting style to your opponent. And your greatest opponent, of course, is yourself. When it comes to love, the love legacy that I'm passing down is the ability to understand love from the highest essence that you can fathom and then go beyond that to fulfill that which is unknown. That's going to give you an experience of love that you never dreamed before because you're going into states unknown. That's the legacy that I'm passing down. I'm passing down a legacy of love, of transformation. See, everybody that knows me. When they see love, they see me now, they go, God damn, I never dreamed. I never thought this motherfucker would be this. They never dreamed of it. But that's the legacy of love. I did not know love was going to do this to me. It felt good. It wasn't always comfortable. I say that. It was very uncomfortable. It was very, very uncomfortable. But that legacy of love, man, is the greatest experience that I have ever had in order to learn to pass something down to not only my daughters, to my grandchildren. It won't matter. That style of love and legacy will exist for the rest of eternity. I've seen it in their soul. I've implanted it through song and phrases and actions and funnies. If I leave today, I promise you, Papa will live forever. Forever. Because I poured into him. That's the legacy. To pour that love in. Not to just demand, don't do this, don't do that. No. Create a legacy. Create principles that they can live by. That's the legacy. Create those principles to live by. That's love legacy. And let it be something that be harmonious. Let it be something that edifies and uplifts. Let love legacy be something that empowers. Love is not controlling. Love is in control. It does not dominate. It has its own domain. It does not instruct. It guides. Love is.
Cheese and bread, bro. Like, did you just do my outro?
Yes,
I know, right? It sounds like you just did my outro. Like, Man, I should have, man. Love you, Impossible. Love you. Love you. You make it hard for me sometimes, but goddamn.
Love you back, brother. That's a rubber band stretch. That's the roots going deep within and sprouting up. Yeah, that's us becoming as one.
See, one thing that I love what you just said was when I was growing up, my mother always stated, she was like, look, her and a couple of other adults, as well as some other people who were around my age at the time, always told me, they were like, yo, every time that you come around, like you always leave something with people. And at the time, I was just like, I thought that I thought I was forgetful. Like I was literally always physically leaving something. Like that's what I thought. And as time went on, people always end up remembering me for something that I've done. It's sometimes like back in the day, I'm not going to lie, when I was still trying to find myself and I was doing things that I really shouldn't have been doing just because of the fact that I was not fully aware of who I am. And I did not know exactly where I did not know where I needed to be. I knew where I wanted to go. It was more along the lines of because I wanted to feel like I was loved by someone, you know? But with it, I've always been leaving a legacy everywhere that I went. I've always been remembered for things that I have done just from my authentic, genuine self. Now, with it upsets a lot of people, but with it, again, how we said earlier, you got those individuals who you disrupt their demons. And with that, they may see something in you that they don't have and it upsets them. But the thing that gets me is without even really thinking about it, I'm leaving a legacy when I'm not trying. And I love that because of the fact that it shows me that I am on the right path. I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And the legacy I'm leaving is one of love. Because I mean, like, even when I go back to like places that I've been before, people will like see me, they're like, oh hey, you came in here before, you like, oh, you had this on or whatever. I'm like, dang, you remember the hell I had on? I'm like, I do have an outfit like that. Or I'll be like, yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember. Or somebody be like, oh, you said this and this and this. And I'm just like, word. And then remember how like a couple episodes back I said, I was like, sometimes I end up learning things through things that I've told people in the past where they end up telling me that I have told them. And it's like I learn through other people of things that I have taught them. Because sometimes when I speak, it's coming from somewhere that's not me, you know? Not to get too deep into it. So it's like I won't even remember sometimes the things that I have told individuals, and they end up seeing me later on and tell me the things that I told them, and they're like, yo, that's like, that might not have been what I wanted to hear at the time, but that's something I need to hear, or yo, you were dead accurate, or that was right, and whatever. And I'm just like, dang. And a lot of times it's something that actually benefits me in my life as well. So now it's like I may have taught them that, but at the same time with them telling me, it's like they're teaching me. So with it, it's interesting how I drop knowledge and leave a legacy with other individuals of who I am out of love, or either with that knowledge that comes from somewhere that's above myself, greater than myself. But then with this, at the same time, with me leaving a legacy with them, they don't understand that really they're leaving memories with me. So, I mean, for me, I find it interesting in the fact that with me interacting with other individuals and they might remember me, I remember them. Does that make sense? So what it really comes down to is you never know whose life you're going to impact. And when you are impacting others' lives, they have the opportunity to impact your life. And the impact that you may be the way that you may be impacting their life, you might not think anything of it. And then the way that they end up giving it back to you may be a bigger impact to you than you felt that you gave to them. They may impact your life in ways that are monumental that you might not even think about at the moment, but as time goes on, that moment pops into your head in a certain situation. And now you're like, oh, dang, such and such has mentioned something like this before. Or where have I heard that before? It might not pop exactly into your head, but it's stuck. And the fact that it's stuck, and now that you're remembering it months or weeks, months, years down the line, it's like, dang, but it's all because of the fact that you end up being at the right place at the right time, and you end up talking to this individual or coming across this individual in some type of manner. And with that slight conversation or slight interaction that you had impacted you in a way. So they left a legacy with you and you left a legacy with them when the intersection of realities. And I'm just like, yo, the way that love flows, they say that love is a vibration, love is a frequency, as you mentioned earlier, impossible. If we go into the laws of the universe, like what is it? The law of attraction. So if you are vibrating on that frequency of love, you'll bring love, you'll draw love towards you. And then with that, usually the things that come with love are moments of learning that through that shared experience. Even if it comes down to, I'm going to say true love, and I know I'm probably going to have some people try and fight me on this, but if you are engaging in an intimate moment with someone to where the love is flowing between you two, and when I say intimate, I'm not talking about something physical. It can even be something mental. Again, we discussed love earlier. Love is not something to where I'm in you and so on and so forth. There's times where you can just have a conversation with someone. You can feel that love by the way that you both are being stimulated and the knowledge that is being passed, that feeling that you're getting as that moment is flowing. And I mean, it's oftentimes of someone that you already have a connection with. So when you end up having like that true love, as how I said earlier, that true love to where there is nothing that is being fake about it, to where it's just genuine love. Nobody is seeking something from the other individual. That is just the vibration that you are putting out and the other person is putting out as well. And when these two are combining together, it's almost like like a chemical reaction, the way that it ignites. Does that make sense? So now with it, the love from one with nothing being sought out from the other individual, you're just putting it out there into the universe and they're putting out there into the universe. When those two are colliding, the way that it is bouncing back to you and the things that you are getting from it, because you're not expecting anything. We have an expectation that leads to disappointment. When you're not expecting anything, that's when it feels as if you get the most out of any situation. What do you have to say on that, Mrs. Sigma Uno? I feel like you want to say.
I don't look at those things as I go into it and I walk life dispensing, not expecting to receive. Right? So when something crosses me that replenishes love that I put out, oh, I'm eternally grateful. I'm eternally grateful. Um, whether it be somebody dropping nuggets in a conversation, again, that's reflective. I am eternally grateful. I never thought of it that way. Or I had a concept in my mind that I couldn't put words to, and you just put it together so eloquently that that's it. That's the pieces that I've been trying to put together that I couldn't find words for. I mean, simple things like that. But to put out and emulate love to its fullest, be an example of love, to be a light, to be a beacon in this current climate it's something that you want to do. It's something that you have a desire to be and do. It's also dangerous. It's also very dangerous, especially for those that are consumers and not and not replenishers thereof. Because there are plenty of consumers. Everybody wants to be loved and they have no problem taking from you, but they're not going to reciprocate. Again, it's toxic on their end because you again get the most loving individual, poor, right? But unless you actually acknowledge those things and recognize them when you see them, you will have everybody pouring into you to replenish for you to keep pouring out to the same individual. which becomes taxing on your whole environment. And you have to be extremely mindful of that. It shows itself the most when it comes to religious organizations and pastors, where pastors pour and pour and pour and pour into their congregations, and then there's nothing left for themselves and their home. And so you see the taxing when it comes to the pastor's kids and the pastor's household and the pastor's wife and everything that's personal for the pastor, but the church is flourishing. Is that pastor doing his job? In theory, no. In theory, he's not. His first responsibility is not to the church. His first responsibility is to his household. So to be mindful that yes, to be giving, to be loving, to be all of those things is not just a pastor's per se job, but it's everybody's job in a whole. If everybody would project the love out there in the manner in which they do, and it's never the same for anybody or the next person, then love would radiate a whole rainbow of things. It would have so many facets to it that there would be nobody necessarily lacking. Does love show in acts? Love shows in acts where you have people out there and they're supplying needs for those that are homeless, and not just homeless because out of circumstance, but some people actually choose that life. But just because they choose that life doesn't mean that they don't have necessities. Can you fulfill those needs in love? You can. There's so many different ways that it can be given and so many different ways that it can be received. It just has to be done with self and home first. You always have to make sure self and home are taken care of first. Because again, if you out here talking about we are the world, we are the children, and you're coming home to what? You will manifest things that you didn't necessarily want to manifest or receive or even be prepared for. Because if you give out that perception of being that love for the whole world, love for the whole, for the people around you, that beacon of love that everybody looks up to, and then you come home and it's nothing but disarray and disaster, what have you really been putting out there to the world? What is really radiating off of you? And can you do it again tomorrow? Because again, if you haven't replenished yourself, if you have not taken care of home, because home is what's going to replenish you, then you have to be very mindful of what you're radiating out there. You can give a perception, you can make it look really great, it can sound amazing. But you're going to be like that one TikTok where the person thinks they're singing, and next thing you know, they look in the mirror and it's a yak screaming back at them. Did you think you was Whitney Houston? You did. And in your perception and what you believed you were putting out there, you were Whitney at her height. And then you turn around and look in the mirror and all of a sudden there's a yak looking back at you. How do you even receive that from yourself? You have to literally stop and do a self-evaluation and pull yourself back together. Where did this go wrong? Where can I replenish this and how can I make this right? Not only for what I want to project, but make myself self-sustaining, self-replenishing. It's, again, it's a process that once you learn it, God, you can be all you can be for yourself and everybody else.
I appreciate that. So with it, we have just come to the end of this episode of Divine Time. I thank everybody who joined in, everybody who stayed to the end. Y'all are amazing. With it, I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Things just did not want us to be great, but hey, we still made it through. We still got done what we needed to do. We still had a great conversation. with that, this was another episode of Divine Time with your host, Donald Divine. Every Saturday at 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live having panels. Always a good conversation. We're going to pick this up every single Saturday. So tune in, relax your mind. It's Divine Time.